Hello, everyone. Yes, we are back again. You are all welcome to this live session. So we have an interesting topic to look at. You can already see it on the screen, and it says any rerun poll should be between Atiku and I. Tinubu tells to come up with this kind of statement that if any rerun should happen, it should be between Atiku and Tinubu. So we don't really know how they came up with this kind of statement, and that is what we want to dissect today. So Dr. Etel is here as usual to take us through this. Dr. Etel, the stage is yours.
Yeah, good day, good evening, and good morning, depending on where you are around the world. I would like to start by saying that banner printed, that headline printed by the This Day newspaper and said by Tinubu and APC, if it is true, and I know it is true because I've even had the video clip where I think we have some of them. First and foremost, it's an admission by APC that they didn't make any headway in the petition tribunal. They didn't make any headway. 2 weeks ago when they brought out their final written reply, it was like, we said it here, they were making so much flowery statements that did not have its basis in law. They forgot that there were documents that the judges will rely on to compare the evidence that was presented. That the Constitution is there, the Electoral Act is there, the guideline produced by INEC is there, and the regulations, the election regulations that was also produced by INEC is there. And that regulation, the guideline, derives its power from the Electoral Act, and the Electoral Act derives its power from the Constitution. And that when the judges will be looking at the evidence that was presented in court, they will look at those evidence and juxtapose those evidence on these documents, meaning the Constitution, the Electoral Act, the guideline, and the regulation. And when the Labour Party returned their own final address, it was obvious. They blew them out. They completely obliterated all those flowery essays of APC. And so for them to begin to, permit me to borrow this word, beg, for them to begin to beg now for a rerun, because that is what they're doing. For them to begin to beg now for a rerun is an admittance of the fact that they knew they did not win the election.
Yeah.
They are now saying, okay, let's go do it again. All this one, they are saying it will be between them and any other party they're choosing. They're just making a statement. Let it just be that they said something. If you allow them, what they would have said, or what they wanted to say, or what they're saying in disguise is this: we know we messed up. We know we didn't win this election. Can we get an opportunity to try again?
Yeah.
So I hope that this video, and maybe we'll give it a title, APC begging for a rerun. Having known that they lost this election, they are begging for a rerun. That's number one. Number two is that for them to say any rerun, meaning that they know that there is a possibility. In fact, we've concluded they are begging for it. Should be between Atiku and I. Under what condition? There are two conditions. There is what is called a runoff. In fact, our constitution do not have what is called a runoff to start with. Our constitution has what is called second election and third election. Do you know that we have in our constitution 3 elections? 3 elections. The first one, you must meet the conditions, which means you must win the most popular vote, meaning you have to be your tally must be higher than every other party. For someone who is maybe 2 or 3 candidates, you must win the majority of the votes cast. You must win 25% of the votes cast in 24 states of Nigeria. And as we have rightly said here, you must also win 25% in Abuja. If you do not meet these conditions in a situation where we have more than 3 candidates in the election, the Constitution provides that you will go for the second election. So even the word rerun is not in our Constitution. So the Constitution provides that you go for a second election. And in that second election, there is a criteria for selecting. The Constitution specifically mentioned, it says, the way the people who will participate will be selected. Meaning, it's not just an automatic thing. And how will the person be selected? Number one, the person who won the majority of the votes is on automatic, has qualified automatically. Then the second person that will run with the person, according to the law, is that the person has to win the greater percentage of votes cast in the states. But let's pause here and go back a bit. Are they now asking for a run because they believe that 25% of Abuja is a mandatory? Are you watching it now? Because it means that they are now tacitly agreeing that this Abuja thing is a reality. So there may be 2 things here. If they agree that INEC did not abide by the Electoral Act, then it is a cancellation of the election. If the election is cancelled, then they can't even say it is us and another party. It means all the parties will go back to the field because it is a cancellation, which means I can deduce in this place that they still believe that the court will determine that they are the majority winner, meaning the court will approve what INEC has done. You know, we are doing it in a process of elimination by their statement. If they believe that the court will approve what INEC has done. However, the only condition why they will not remain is the issue of Abuja. So, like the way they say it in court, it means I can put it to them now that they have admitted that Abuja 25% is a reality. Because it is only Abuja situation that will require only 2 candidates to go back to the second election. If election is summarily cancelled by the court for gross violation of the law by INEC, every party will be going back because all the parties were affected. It means that all the votes garnered by each party will become a wasted vote. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So the 2 things we're going to pick here is that APC is now finally admitting that 25% of Abuja is a reality. They have sat down in their offices and in their chambers and they realize that, look, this hammer is coming. That's number 1. Number 2 is that there is only one party they are afraid of in this country. They don't want to face anywhere. That party is Labour Party. That's why they are jittery when Labour Party is mentioned. Please, we don't want to face these people again. The hurricane called Labour Party, we can't stand it. Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
I'm enjoying this thing. But you see what? But even at that, they miss the law. There is this video. I don't know if we have that video where Festus Okoye was talking. Do we have that video?
Yes, we do.
Can you play that video, please?
in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now, because of the limited time allowed the commission by the law, in case a candidate does not emerge on the first ballot, the commission prints ballots for runoff election when we are printing ballots for the main election. In other words, if 93 million Nigerians are on the ballot for the presidential election, we will print 93 million ballots for the first election, and at the same time, print 93 million ballots for a runoff election in case a winner does not emerge on the first ballot. If at the end of the day, there is no runoff, when election petitions are disposed of, the commission will destroy the 93 million ballots printed for the runoff. This is because the law gives the commission just 21 days within which to engage in reverse logistics and conduct a runoff election in case there's no winner. Moreover, some of you also know that as at the time of the conduct of the presidential election, the governorship election and the state assembly elections are still pending. So for the governorship election, the commission prints at least runoff ballot for 4 governorship elections in case we have challenges in terms of a winner not emerging on the first ballot in some of the states of the Federation. Now, how does a president emerge? And what are the conditions that will necessitate a second election? Because the Constitution calls it a second election. The Constitution doesn't call it a runoff.
Good.
Section 134, subsection 2 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which is the fundamental law of the land, makes it mandatory that before anyone can be deemed to have been elected as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that candidate must secure the highest number of votes cast at the election. The candidate must secure the highest number of votes cast at the election and must also secure a quarter of the votes cast in 2/3 of all the states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory. That is mandatory. Now, if no candidate secures this highest number of votes and the mandatory threshold, the Constitution says that we must have a second election within a period of 21 days. Now, not all candidates are going to participate in this second election. 18 candidates will be on the ballot for the first election. If no candidate emerges on the first ballot, only 2 candidates are going to be on the second ballot, or only 2 candidates are going to contest the second election. Now, who are those candidates that will be on the ballot for the second election? The Constitution has made it very clear that 2 candidates that will be on the ballot are, one amongst the candidates who scored the highest number of votes at the election. The one that scored the highest number of votes at the election. The second candidate that will be on the ballot will be one amongst the remaining candidates who has a majority of the votes in the highest number of states. One amongst them. The Constitution did not say that the person who came second will be the person who will be on the ballot. That's not what the Constitution has said. The Constitution says that one amongst the remaining candidates who has a majority of votes in the highest number of states, will be the second candidate. So you may have a situation where one candidate in the election secures 10 million votes, and the second candidate secures 9 million votes, and the third candidate secures 7 million votes. But that third candidate secured majority of votes in the highest number of states. The Constitution says that is that third candidate that will be on the ballot with the first person.
Thank you.
So I think that this is very important because
Thank
I
you.
have been at a polling unit.
Okay. This was said before the election. You see how polished, how well prepared, how well dressed Festus Okoye was there. That was when, before the demon that possessed them on the day of the election. Because these people were indeed educating Nigerians. They were indeed preparing for the election. That was why they had to travel from Nigeria to London, to Chatham House, to say it for the world to hear. And they made all the press statement about IREV. And they used their mouths to say they cannot renege on their promise until the demon possessed them. But let's go back to APC. I keep asking myself, aren't APC lawyers supposed to be senior advocates? How come this simple interpretation of our constitution is hard for them? There was a slide we had that was defining majority in law. What is majority in law? Just like in law, shall means must. Can we see what is the definition? The law, you say, in law, legal definition of majority. It says, generally, a majority means a number greater than half of the total. In other words, more than 50%. These councils that are representing APC, they went to law school. They have been litigating before. Why is it that they are just acting as if they are waking up to this reality today? Now, let's go back to the truth. The truth of the matter is that, assuming all things being equal, that the Supreme Court decides to say, everything INEC did, we are fine with it. We are okay. The result they declared is okay. However, 25% of Abuja is a must, which is what these people are now realizing. They are still feeling that they have INEC in their pocket and that the court will rule in their favor. But they are now convinced that the court will not rule in their favor on the matter of FCT. But they still carried away without realizing that if that is the case, that Atiku is not the person who will contest with them. PDP is not the party that will contest with them. It is Labour Party. Do you know why? The reason is because Labour Party secured more than 50 states, more than 50% of the votes in more states than PDP. And that is what Festus Okoye just said there. In fact, there was the other apologist of APC, one Kadaria woman, the one that used to do interview. She even said it. And it is everywhere. For instance, in Anambra State, in Enugu State, in Ebonyi State, almost in the southeastern part of Nigeria, including Rivers State. When you check all those places, you see that Labour Party won more than 50% of the total vote cast. Let me give you an example. According to the result declared in Lagos by INEC, Labour Party won Lagos. But when they want to select the second candidate, they will not count Lagos in favor of Labour Party. because Labour Party, even though won Lagos, did not win up to 50% of the votes cast in Lagos, talk more of greater, based on what INEC declared. Does that make sense now? But in Anambra State, Labour Party did not just win. Labour Party win with about over 90% of the vote cast there. So Anambra State will be counted in favor of Labour, but Lagos will not be counted in favor of Labour. And so PDP won, according to the result declared by INEC, won more votes in than Labour. But the places, the states they won, they did not win more than 50% in all of them. I think I did the maths. I think PDP won just about 3 states, whereas Labour Party won about 6 states, more than 50%. So that is it. And we have seen the legal definition of majority. It has to be 50% plus. Just like in America, most of their senatorial election, I remember the Georgia, they did a rerun in 2020. They did a rerun again in the off-cycle election. And the reason is because even though somebody won the majority vote, but in that place, it is required that you must win more the majority, which is more than 50%. The same thing happened in Turkey. They were talking of more than 50 majority, which is more than 50%. So I don't know how APC is reading interpreting their own constitution. I don't even know how they're interpreting the electoral law. Because if indeed they're interpreting the electoral law, how can they say that IREV is immaterial when the law specifically said that collation can only be done, shall only be done, if there is a copy on the IREV and the physical copy, so that you can use the physical copy that is always the trouble to compare with the one that is uploaded. So it means that based on this, we can conclude this night that APC have finally succumbed, that Abuja 25% is a reality. But that is not enough. I'm sure that before even you get to the Supreme Court, they will also succumb that INEC did not abide by the Electoral Act. And need I say that maybe before the Supreme Court give their own verdict, they will also admit that their candidate is not even qualified, because the Allied People's Movement case is a killer. When that comes, the presidential candidate if that judgment comes in favor of APM, the presidential candidate of APC is disqualified, because he had 14 days from the day Masari withdrew his nomination as vice president to replace it, but he waited until 21 days. That is a disqualification factor. Supreme Court had ruled in that same situation in the case of Okocha in Delta State. So we haven't even mentioned the prayer of other factors that warrant forfeiture, submitting a different name as NYSC certificate and what have you. We're just talking plain things. So, but I think good thing is happening here. Good thing that is happening here is that the way the information of what is happening in the court is filtering out, and Nigerians getting involved in the discussion. You see, education, people are getting educated, people are getting informed, and they themselves are realizing that, look, the Nigeria of today is no longer the Nigeria of analog, where they carry ballot box, they stuff it, they declare number, and they tell you go to court. So that is it. I don't know if we have any other thing for us to talk or a question.
We have a video here. Let me just insert it so that our audience can also.
We are
Abuja, to exclude the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, LP, Mr. Peter Obi, and his party in the event of any rerun presidential election, claiming that only him and the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, are constitutionally qualified to recontest. Tinubu argued that Obi and his party will not be
The video is
qualified
not
to
playing. We
recontest
can't see the
if the
video.
justices void the February 25, 2023 presidential election. But Obi urged the five-member panel not to subvert the people's will.
Sorry, can you hear the audio?
Yes, we can hear the audio, but not the video.
I don't know, maybe this is from my network.
Okay.
As expressed in the February 25 presidential election, stressing that President Tinubu should be sacked without further delay. Tinubu faulted both Obi and the Labour Party for asking the court to cancel the election and compel the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to conduct a fresh poll in which he, Tinubu, Shettima and the All Progressives Congress (APC) would not participate. He argued that should the relief be granted, Obi and LP would not derive any benefit, having been constitutionally barred from contesting the rerun election. President Tinubu's submissions were contained in his final written address in response to the petition of Obi and the LP, challenging his declaration as president. The chairman of INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, had on March 1 declared Tinubu the winner of the February 25 presidential election with 8,794,726 votes, while Atiku and Obi reportedly scored 6,984,520 votes and 6,101,533 votes respectively. While citing alleged issues of substantial non-compliance with electoral laws, corrupt practices, and non-qualification amongst others, Obi and LP on the one hand, as well as Atiku and the PDP on the other hand, had in their petitions asked the court to nullify the election. Alternately, they urged the court to order a rerun election to decide the authentic winner of the poll. In his final written address to the petition by Obi and the Labour Party, which Tinubu filed through his lawyer, Chief Wole Olanipekun, SAN, he submitted that the evidence tendered by the petitioners failed to prove claims of non-compliance and corruption capable of voiding his election. He, however, added that in the very unlikely event that the election of February 25, 2023 is voided, the candidates constitutionally prescribed to contest any subsequent election shall be the second respondent and the candidate of the PDP who came second by scoring the next majority of votes in the highest number of states, 19 states, to the first petitioner's 16 states, and also coming second by plurality of votes, having scored 6,984,520 votes, far and above first petitioner's 6,101,533 votes. In effect, the petitioners have no locus standi to ask for relief to, both constitutionally and legally. Constitutionally because he is barred from contesting, legally because he has no benefit to derive from the said relief, assuming it is granted. Contending that the court cannot decree an...
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you still detect their error in the interpretation?
Yes.
Now, if they thought that the scoring the majority of votes in the highest number of states means the number of states where you won, they're already talking about the majority of votes, the person who scored the highest number of votes, according to the result declared by INEC, is APC, PDP, and Labour Party in that order. That's granted. But then, if the law requires first runner-up to just be somebody who is going to catch up, it won't say in that section 134, subsection 2, how the second candidate to be selected, because the vote would have already selected the second candidate, isn't it? Which is what they're saying here. Instead, it says the candidate which scored the majority of votes in the highest number of states, which means they have to start looking at it state by state. In this state, who scored the majority of votes? And majority in law means 50% plus. And I have explained it, that if that be the case, Labour Party lost Lagos when you are counting the majority of vote, because Labour Party did not score up to 50% of the vote cast there, even more. You have to merge, when you merge the one that INEC allocated to PDP and allocated to Labour, to APC and other parties, they are more than 50%. But what the law is saying here is that the candidate that came into a state and scored the majority, such that if you put all the votes of the other political parties together, it will still not be up to 50%. That candidate is what they are referring to. And that's exactly what Festus Okoye said. You heard Festus Okoye saying it, that it is possible that, for instance, someone will get 10 million, another will get 8 million, and another will get 7 million. The one that gets 10 million and the one that got 7 million will qualify, because the one that got 7 million, even though is third in the ranking of the majority of the total number of votes cast in the person's favor, he won the majority in the more number of states. It's simple. Festus Okoye knew this truth. Do you know one thing? You know that Olisa Bakoba wrote INEC to interpret their position on the 25%. INEC refused to reply. And then again, Festus Okoye, being a lawyer and being the commissioner in charge of voter education, came to the national TV, I think it was Channels, if not, I don't know if it is Channels or Arise, and they asked him that, he said no, that he doesn't want to talk, that it is the prerogative of the chairman. You know why? Because he knew the truth. Festus knew that the best thing to do is to keep quiet, because if he opened his mouth, he will interpret the law. He knows the truth.
So,
That is it. He knew the truth, but he didn't want to commit himself, so that we will not hold him to ransom as we're playing this one now. So unfortunately, these people are daydreaming. You know why I'm saying it? I'm trying to say, even if the Supreme Court approves every other thing and clears all the allegations that is hanging around APC's candidates that will warrant disqualification, and say that Abuja is now on the bone of contention, sorry, APC, Labour Party is waiting for you. Labour Party is waiting for you. Peter Obi is going to mount the podium again, and Nigerians will rally around him. Sorry. Okay, do you still want to play your video? But I also, whilst that is coming, I also want us to think of the fact that, as I was thinking yesterday, and I'm still thinking about it, the worst case scenario. Is it possible that with all the evidence, Gloria, can you try and see if you can meet yourself? Is it possible that with all that we have, all the evidence that have been amassed, that the Supreme Court can give a clean bill of health to the candidates, to INEC, to APC, and the system continues like this? I still have my strong doubts. You know why? Even APC themselves seem to have realized that, wow, it's not possible. Yes, we are in power. We control the police, the military, but the evidence is so glaring that if the court want to bury themselves, they should pass them. If the judiciary want to bury themselves, they should say that there's no problem. Because if the judiciary does it, that paper where our electoral act and constitution is printed will not worth even, it will not worth even what the Kosei woman who used to wrap akara on the street of Kano or Abuja or Kaduna. And I am sure that even if they are parleying with the executive, they may have called them and say, you know what? I don't believe in conspiracy theory, so to say. But all those rumors that are making the round that the president was caught in a conversation with the Chief Justice, I usually think, is it worth it? But it may be true. It may be true that someone from the judiciary have actually spoken to the executive and say, hey guys, there is no way we can help you people. Your case is so bad, we can't manage it. Secondly, when Labour Party is saying that APC is preparing for another election, you see, finally, they themselves have admitted it. They are preparing for a new election. And they are saying, even though we are preparing for this election, please don't let us meet this party again in the field. We can't stand Labour Party again, please. So sometimes when rumors are making rounds like this, so like somebody said, there is no smoke without fire. There is no smoke without fire. So there is every possibility that they have been advised from the grapevine that, look, this thing is not possible. It's not as if Nigerians are violent, obedience are violent. It's just that the judges themselves cannot bring themselves to say, INEC, you did well. But I am also asking myself, with the Supreme Court prior judgments, with respect to forgery, with respect to forfeiture, with respect to other issues being raised, how will the Supreme Court wriggle out? Which technicality are they going to use to wriggle out of it? Because if they don't wriggle out of it, APC is calling for a new election that they won't participate in. Because in the first place, they will be disqualified. And if they are disqualified, and then the Supreme Court goes further to say, we disqualify you because of all these allegations, one, and INEC, you didn't do well, and so, it means that the election that is going to happen will be a new election without APC. Because it's going to be an annulment of this election. But APC will not be on the ballot. It is now going to be PDP and Labour Party going to the field to test their strength with other parties, of course. As God may have it, somebody wrote a question. We know there were undeniable irregularities in the last presidential election, but what if at the end of the day, the judiciary compromised justice in spite of all glaring evidence? Just as I said, they probably just want to bury themselves forever. The little integrity they have. As I said yesterday, the only arm of government that can save our democracy and which is capable of saving democracy in any part of the world is the judiciary. Because the other two arms of government are pure politicians, 100%. The whole of the legislators are elected representatives, they're politicians. And the executive elected people. So they want to exploit the system. They want to do it by hook or crook. The only body that can checkmate democracy and make democracy work is the judiciary. And if you have followed me, you will notice that I kept saying that judiciary, it is you that will make or mar our democracy. And that our democracy is like this because the judiciary permitted it. Since 1963 till date, our judiciary kept permit. Why would the politicians of today ask you to go to court? If not, that they know that the judiciary will help to endorse and validate their criminality. That's it. But like Mikey Guinea used to say, that in United Kingdom used to be dirtier than Nigeria when it comes to politics. But the judiciary woke up to their responsibility and took the big hammer If you near them, they will crack your head. Now, they don't want to near the judiciary. And the system is clean. And I make bold to say that if our judiciary can wake up and roar from their chambers in this our dispensation, it doesn't matter who becomes the INEC chairman. Even if you make APC chairman the INEC chairman, he will do the right thing, because he knows that if he does not do the right thing, the big hammer of the judiciary is waiting. So judiciary should wake up and save us, because they are the only people who have the capacity to clean up our democracy. It says, I should explain the appeal court judgment in Lagos State on LP Federal Court to be LP Federal Court, Labour Party Federal Court. I don't know the case you're referring to. If you can type and explain further, to be honest, aside from the case of the governorship petition in Lagos State and the governorship petition in Enugu State and the presidential petition that is in the court, there is no other Labour Party case that I am tracking except this three: the Lagos State governorship, the Enugu State governorship, and the presidential in Abuja. So if it is at the level of legislature, I don't know, because I'm not tracking it. Okay, anything else, please? I don't know if there are more questions from.
I just want you to explain to our audience on what basis is Tinubu asking the court to disqualify Peter Obi. We know that directly or indirectly they are trying to avoid him, But what is the reasons that they've given to the tribunal?
They said that he is not that Peter Obi and Labour Party is not the party that scored the second highest, the highest number of votes, which is not the requirement of the law. They've said it even in the video you played. We, APC, we got the highest number of votes. The second party. I was thinking that they would begin to talk things like, oh, that stories they used to carry around that he was a PDP member when he contested. I thought they will even talk like that for disqualification. But they know that those things were empty claims, because the whole Nigeria, remember that the whole Nigeria was shaken when the letter of resignation from PDP by Peter Obi went viral. The letter he wrote to his party and said, I am no longer interested. I don't want to be a member of PDP. And then people were saying, which party will he choose? Which party will he follow? Which party? So it was obvious when he wrote his resignation letter, it was available. When he waited until he joined Labour Party, it was also clear. So if PDP decide not to use their pen to cancel his name, that does not mean, for instance, if you sack your company, if your company hires you, for instance, and you decide you don't like them again, and you wrote a resignation letter and sent to them, and they still decide to keep you in their database, does that invalidate the fact that you have left? The secretary of the PDP received a letter of resignation. He stamped it. If whatever they do, even if they burn the letter, a copy that he received is with him. So this thing that APC is demanding is trying to tell us that they have endorsed most of the things Labour Party prayed. Because the only way a second election can be conducted according to law is when one person, nobody, met all the conditions stipulated by the law. And that conditions are three: majority of votes cast, 25% in 24 states, and 25% of Abuja. So for them to be calling for Rerun that only fits into this condition, they now know that they did not meet the conditions. And one of them is that of Abuja. Because anything that would tamper what INEC will do, INEC job is so bad that the only thing that the court will do with INEC job is to collapse the whole thing. And you know how I know and how we know? We discussed it yesterday. Supreme Court in their previous judgment defined certified true document, certified true copy of a document as a copy of the original that you have that carries your stamp. That is the layman's definition. Meaning that if you photocopy like your international passport, like you live around the world, if you want to notarize your passport, you don't want to send the original passport, you go to the post office. The post office will cite the original and stamp the photocopy and put it. Because that post office is like a neutral person. Anybody that picks it is called a notary public. They will say, oh, so this person is a witness that the original exists and that this is a true copy of the original. That is what Supreme Court says. And now there is more than 2.5 million votes that is blank paper or blood paper that INEC stamped. That is, they are telling the Supreme Court, you see, I keep saying Supreme Court, not Appeal Court. They are telling the Supreme Court that they don't have those 2.5 million votes plus. If you don't have it, if you don't have 2.5 million votes, and the difference between the person you declared winner and the next runner-up is lesser than the vote you're looking for, the law says you should cancel that election and call for another election. So I am sure that they have seen it. Because INEC cannot come to the courts again. Tendering of evidence is complete. You remember? The tendering of evidence is complete. INEC did not come. And then Supreme Court of Nigeria also says that when someone tenders a document, if you say that that document, that evidence is a lie, you don't just say, it's a lie, it's a lie. No, you have to produce the one that will make that one a lie. You have to falsify it. So if INEC can give blank copies of results to a Labour Party, and they did not bring to the court the original copies that they used to do their collation, which is what Labour Party wrote. Labour Party said, if you say you did collation with hard copy, where is the hard copy? Where is it? It is in your vault. The court want to see it. And because they didn't bring it to court, they can't tender it again. So how will the court jump the horn and say, oh, because the result is not existing? Did you notice one thing, that even Labour Party, as they are writing their report, they became more emboldened to know that even though they are calling for them to be declared, but they're also saying, with this mess, the court might not even want to recognize any of the votes we've gotten. They just want to cancel this whole nonsense. This whole nonsense. Nigerians should go and prepare for election. I think it's tending towards that part. But that election may be around January. Because this thing is going to drag until the ending of November, It's going to be around January. 21 days from the day the Supreme Court rules. 21 days from the day the Supreme Court gives their judgment. I am hopeful that we're going to be having an election.
So I only want to ask this question. We've been told that Tinubu came first, according to what INEC declared. Then who is he going to run against if there should be a rerun? Is it going to be Peter Obi or Atiku? Since the law said the second person must be the one that had more than 50% of votes from more states.
Yes.
So how many states?
So if my calculation, if my brain reminds, I think, I can't remember it precisely, but I think Labour Party won more than 50% in 6 states.
Okay.
Whereas PDP won more than 50% in 3 states.
Oh. Okay, I think
I am going to get it. I actually did it as a calculation. I have it as a slide. But I have it as a slide. If you just give me a second, if my video is still showing, let me know. Is my video still showing? Hello?
It's not
It's my video.
showing.
Oh, sorry. I wanted to search it from my file, and because I have it. I have done that analysis as far back as March. And that is what Festus Okoye corroborated. Festus Okoye corroborated it. I did that analysis as far back as March. Even Kadaria had been saying it. It is very obvious there. Anyway, let us. I know that it's what were those states? Enugu State was there. Abia State, Anambra State, Ebonyi State. I've forgotten the other states where Labour Party won more than 50%. Okay, Gloria, have you got any question?
Yes.
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Okay. In a case where the court refused to listen to what Tinubu and the APC are saying, that it should just be them and Atiku that will go back to the field. Maybe they choose to go with the case of forfeiture or double nomination and disqualify him. What will be the fate of Labour Party in this scenario?
If it becomes forfeiture, it's going to be another election. Assuming, because this question is twin, just mute yourself, okay? This question is twin.
Okay.
If that happens, it means that on one hand, they disqualified APC because of a feature, but they did not cancel the election because of INEC's non-compliance. If that happens, so they will use the results declared by INEC for Labour Party and PDP to judge. If that happens, then it is going to be Labour Party and PDP that will go back to the pool. But if they crashes what Labour INEC has done, all the 18 political parties will go back again, because all the votes cast in this election will be declared null and void. Everybody will have opportunities to go back again. Thank God it's like Eze one is helping me. 7 states and Abuja. Thank you so much. I know it is in that bracket. You know, I know I've done that math for a bit. I don't want to just quote until I am able to confirm. Do you get? So that is it.
Okay, so that's in the case. Okay, I wanted to ask. That means in the case of cancellation, when they fault what INEC did, both Tinubu will return back to the field with Labour Party and other parties.
That's another explanation to that. If they fault what INEC did and cancel the whole election, and also clear Tinubu on all the allegations, then he will be qualified to go back to the election. But if they fault what INEC did, and at the same time uphold the prayers that would disqualify APC's candidate, then all the other political parties will go back to the field except APC. So these are, I think we need to do maybe like a table to show all these options. Is it good for us to, I don't know, do like a table to show all these options? Because you can see that, I don't know how to keep flipping it. You get, they can disqualify him and yet uphold INEC's result. If they disqualify him and uphold INEC's result, then only Peter Obi and Atiku will go back to the field. But if they disqualify him and also cancel INEC's result, then he will not be there, but every other political party will be there in the field. Okay? no matter how you flip the coin, Labour Party is always the head. No matter how you flip the coin. If they say they want to recollate the election and cancel the 18,000 polling unit that INEC said they can't find the result, the available result on ground will make Labour Party the winner. Because the 2 million plus that APC is parading that made them a winner is hiding in that blood 18,000 polling units. You see, no matter how you flip the coin, Labour Party is on top. Which means that the Supreme Court is saying, we accommodate everything INEC did, except this one that they themselves have admitted that they lost. And because this one that they themselves have admitted that they lost is not enough, we are now going to recollate the election and cancel that one. When they recollate that election, APC will go third, Labour Party will come first, PDP will remain second. But with what INEC has done so far, it will be unfair to allow Mahmoud conduct another election after all this misconduct act from them. That should be one next prayer. I am glad you know that it is prayer that we need to pray about that one. Because the Lord did not say, the Lord, I have not seen where the law interpreted how he's appointed at how do they put it, at the pleasure of the president and confirmed by the Senate. And he can also be fired by the president. So who is the president today? Who's going to fire him? So pray that the Spirit of God will possess him to willingly resign and go. Or that people will rise up and petition him to the National Assembly, who will impeach him by requesting that the president will remove him. It's not as if there's no legal path. But as I said, both the National Assembly, the majority is APC, but the executive is APC. So, and this is their man Friday, the person who is doing their hatchet job for them. So you can understand why prayer is needed. Let's go.
So I actually want to ask this question. Peter Obi's prayer is for the court to declare him the rightful winner of this election, or
one of the prayers.
Okay, one of the prayers, or they should cancel the election. So if we are talking of rerun, is it a better option for the Labour Party or total cancellation?
At the end of it all, it's no longer what is better for you or not, but what the law says. But permit me to use this to address something a lot of people have been saying, but we have read the address. There is nowhere Peter Obi say that he won and he calculated his vote. No, it doesn't work like that. A statistician came and gave you the total number of voting in the whole country, the total number of blood polling units in the whole country, the total number of inaccessible results in the whole country. They gave it to the last digits. They did not approximate. You think that the only thing that is remaining, that they don't know the total number of votes that is accruing to them, but you don't say certain things with your mouth. You leave it for the courts to declare. But in that the address, they say, my Lord, in this spreadsheet, so they had a spreadsheet. So that statistician used the spreadsheet to work the whole number. They work the whole number. So it is now left for them to adopt it or to do their own. Remember, you don't know how the court will rule. As I said, they might say, we are going to recollate the election by cancelling only that 18,000 polling units. So declare it lost. They might say that difference is so much that it cannot hold, and they cancel the whole election. So, but anyone, I keep saying it, majority of the people who are saying there is no way Peter Obi said, many of them haven't even read this. If they had read that petition, they will understand how they built their case, that's a beautiful presentation. So 25% of those failing to make between PDP and APC will not automatically give Peter Obi as the winner. I don't understand. failing to make between PDP and BC will not automatically give P2B as the winner. I don't understand the question from Chris Thompson.
I think he's talking about the 25% Abuja vote that
No.
APC and Tinubu did not, APC and Atiku didn't get.
No, if the Supreme Court approves all the votes that INEC declared, if now the only advantage P2B has, that's the effect of the Abuja then becomes useless because they are going back to the field. Because the man who scored the majority of votes according to INEC's declaration did not meet all the three conditions. It is because he did not meet all the three conditions, that's why a second election is declared. And that time, whether you won in Abuja or you didn't win in Abuja becomes immaterial. Assuming APC had gotten 25% in Abuja but did not get 25% in 24 states, he didn't meet the three conditions. So that is it. So it's that's why I say also we should pray for these men that are on the bench, the judges, because they have work to do. They have work to sit down and begin to piece this thing. This one leads here, this one leads there, this one leads there. There are many variables. This judgment are going to come in many variables. And that's what we are discussing here. The many variables. If this flip this way, this happens the other way. If it goes the other way, it happens the other way. So
thank you very much, Dr. Tel. I think we are going to be ending it at this point. Thank you all viewers for joining us. So you can see that they know that Peter Obi is a strong force. At least the obedient movement is there to shake the whole Nigeria.
These four people that are tweeting in a room, their power is something
else. That has turned into something else.
No, there are still 4 people tweeting in a room. I can see that their tweet is still going viral.
Honestly.
Oh my goodness.
They've admitted that Peter Obi is really a strong force. Thanks to the obedient family. No doubt our mandate must be given back to us. We can't wait. So guys, thank you all for joining us. We appreciate your presence. Do well to join us tomorrow as we come together again to discuss some of these issues. Thank you so much, Dr. Tel, for your contribution. Gloria, thank you for participating.
And thank you, everybody. Great. Bye. Excellent. Bye.